Hello, my name is Dr. Moria Levy. I come from Bar-Ilan University in Israel, and I want to speak with you today about my research named Stairways to Heaven, Implementing Social Media in Organizations, that was published in the Journal of Knowledge Management in 2013. What led us to this research? The motivation to the research takes us back to 2012. We're already a decade in social media. We see a festival of knowledge sharing, of knowledge development, of people without even asking them, speaking one with another, sharing one with another. Everything we have dreamed about in knowledge management. Great, great, great success of knowledge sharing. But when it comes to organizations, the picture is totally different. We find more and more pieces in the internet titled Knowledge Management Dead, or Is Knowledge Management Dead, or Rest in Peace Knowledge Management, etc., etc., etc. On the one hand, we have the internet with everyone blowing and sharing their knowledge without even asked to do so. And the other hand, we have organizations that put efforts into it, resources, money, whatever you can think about, and we find too many KM initiatives that struggle. We would say that most KM initiatives need help in order to succeed, and also then they're not always a good success, a great success. So we find this paradox, this conflict, what's happening outside of the organization and inside the organization. And we know that in the basic, knowledge management and social media speak about the same themes. So we ask ourselves, why? What can we learn? How can we take this great success that is outside and maybe take it into the organization, implement it, use it, adopt it, and have better knowledge management? Will it actually make the knowledge management initiatives better? So the research begins. And the literature review from the first decade of social media, and even social media in KM initiatives, teaches us that social media indeed has the potential to leverage KM. From the researchers of the first decade, we learn that A, it helps sharing tacit knowledge. Organization, we have all kinds of levels of information and knowledge, starting from documents and explicit documented knowledge, going to explicit knowledge that is not maybe documented, and going to the tacit knowledge. So we have the implicit and the explicit and the documented, and the most complicated type of knowledge, yet according to most of the researchers, it's the most important knowledge in organization, is a tacit one. And that's where we have a problem in organizations, the biggest problem. And social media has the potential to leverage this sharing of tacit knowledge. B, we learn that it also helps to build the organization memory, that tomorrow we will remember more. And that it's very easy to understand that. Because if people write more and chat more, and these things are documented, so the search engine of the organization that's getting better from year to year can also find it. And the memory of the organization builds level after level, layer on layer, and it gets richer according to the social media, according to the research. Not our research, the literature review. We learn that if knowledge management was mainly managed top-down processes, and organizations and literature reviews, researchers are speaking about the importance of bottom-up processes, not only top-down resources. So we learned that also here. Bingo! Social media has the potential to help bottom-up processes that we are so eager to implement. Continuing, D, we learn that we have organizations that are distributed, geographical. The knowledge sharing on these geographical distributed organizations is easier, is smoother, is better when we implement social media. E, we learn that knowledge capturing, the proactive initiatives of turning tacit knowledge to explicit knowledge to documented knowledge are also easier and smoother when we involve social media tools and concepts. So there's an additional benefit if we can do and if we can implement social media. We learn that it's more initiative to do it, that users, the employees, the workers find it more initiative to work with the social media tools than work with the traditional KM tools. And we learn that they find faith in finding answers. So when they go into the system, they already are with a positive attitude, that they believe more, that they will indeed find a good, relevant answer to the question that they are now facing. In conclusion, one sentence. Literature teaches us from the first decade of social media with knowledge management that it has the potential to leverage the knowledge management initiatives in organizations. Yet, we find organizations that are not so easy with implementing social media. We start to research and we find that in organizations that are service-oriented, service centers, call centers, in organizations that are high-tech, both having young people in the organizations, unsurprisingly, social media is easier to adopt. But the majority of the organizations aren't early adapters. They are slower, and they find it not that easy to make this big leap and adopt the social media strategy, the social media tools, the social media abilities. And therefore, this research suggests a graded implementation, a 4-level, 4 stages of implementation. First, you implement only visibility. You give a wall, you give names, titles, look and feel that resemble what we have in social media with no social media on the traditional KM tools. That's the first level. Then you go add some functionality, not the full tool, but you add a like, a comment, small features that you find on social media, and you add them to the visibility, the naming, and the look and feel. That's the second level. Third level, we add the tools themselves, but not the concepts yet. We don't go to democratization of the knowledge management organizations. Not all of them are mature. Not all of them it fits. So, for example, if I'm looking at a wiki implementation, we may build an organizational wiki, but we won't put the democratics in it. It's not that everyone can edit whatever the others have been writing. We maybe put something that's top down, but we are using the tool of wiki. And the same with other tools. And then we have the fourth level, the full implementation with the strategy, with the concept, with the ideology of social media. And these are 4 suggested stages of implementation. The methodology of the research tests various sectors. It doesn't go only to health, or doesn't go only to industry, or not only to high tech, but goes to various sectors, to many organizations, to 34 organizations in Israel. It is one of the first researches that goes to so many organizations on this topic. Previously, we're finding here a department, here two departments, here an organization, but it's rare to find a large set of organizations that are all queried, are all questioned, are all tested, researched. So we go to 34 organizations representing various sectors, but all in Israel. For the good and for the bad, the same high-level culture, but different flavors. The findings are very positive. We find a linear relation. First of all, we find that organizations do implement as we request or as we have interventions, and they do implement these 4 levels, each a different level. So some places we have interventions, some places we find these findings without going priorly to them and explaining them the idea, but just questioning them, what do they do, and analyzing the significance of the level of the social media. And we find a linear correlation between the level of the social media implementation and the knowledge management level maturity of the organization. And this we can see here on this slide. And therefore, we suggest this architecture as an architecture to be implemented in organizations for social media that should serve knowledge management activities in organizations. 4 levels: visibility, functionality, tools, and strategy, full implementation. It is maybe in small letters, but you can go back to the research and find all the details. We bring in examples of what we find in organizations. The thumb up, the bird. How can we give this visibility? How can we provide the components? How can we provide using tools? And how can we go to the highest level and indeed adopt the concepts of the social media in organizations for knowledge management? So we have all these levels, and we show how the findings demonstrate them in organizations. But yes, this research also has limitations. The largest limitation is that it's only in one country, and one country of 10 million people, and even less. It's not the US, it's not China, it's not Europe, it's one country. But indeed, it can be used. It can be learned from. The second limitation is that there's no compared segmentation. We do not come up with 3 models and try seeing which is the best. We come with one model, we test it on many organizations, but we test one model and say that this is working. Maybe there's another hidden model out there that can also be a good, beneficial model for social media implementation. This research has implications also on the theoretical level and also on the business level. On the theoretical level, if you think about it, these levels that I was speaking about can be implemented for various needs. They do not have to relate to social media specifically or to knowledge management specifically. You can use them in order to take other new trends, other new successes that we want to adopt in organizations, and use these 4 levels of adoption of visibility of a good thing that has success out there on our private lives or on the internet or somewhere else, and then adding the functionality, the specific components, then adding the full tools, and then adding the whole picture, the ideology, the strategy, the concepts, and not only the technologies. So this idea can be used for further researches also in other countries, but also for other ideas as a 4-level model that can work for other ideas, but should be, of course, researched. The research also has business implications because adopting this model in organizations can help in order to implement social media for knowledge management needs. And I can say that we did use it because I'm also a researcher but also a practitioner. And we indeed used it in the following 8 years. And we saw blessing, we saw success, because this is an easier, not having a big leap, but going step by step by step. So I want to thank you for your listening. And I want to address you to the full research and call you to read it, to learn it, to use it for other researches, and of course to question it and debate it wherever possible. Thank you very much. Good day. Thank you.